Jerusalem continues to face the heat of the clashes as tensions intensify. Israel carried out airstrikes in Palestinian-controlled territory after militants in Gaza fired a barrage of rockets at Jerusalem for the first time since 2014. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, meanwhile, has accused the Hamas militant group of crossing a red line with its rocket attack on Jerusalem and promised a tough response. US Department of State spokesperson Ned Price on Monday renewed his calls for calm in the region. Price called the rocket attacks an unacceptable escalation.
We will not tolerate harm to our territory, to our capital, to our citizens, or to our soldiers. He who attacks us will pay a heavy price. I tell you, citizens of Israel, the current confrontation may last for a while. We didn't want escalation, but he who chose to escalate will feel our arms strike.
The past few days have seen the worst violence in Jerusalem for years. Fresh violence erupted at the al-Aqsa compound on Monday, triggering more unrest to an already volatile region. Over 300 people have been injured. Israeli police fired flash grenades and tear gas at protesters near the al-Aqsa mosque compound to defuse the crowd. Israeli police said they used riot control methods after hundreds of Palestinians began throwing stones at them. Jerusalem has become a focal point of Palestinian anger over what they see as years of efforts to push them out of Jerusalem and limit their access to the region. The situation has been aggravated by right-wing Jewish Israeli efforts to assert control in East Jerusalem, which Israel claims as part of its undivided capital. Palestinians and Israeli police have clashed in recent days amid tensions over a looming court decision on whether to evict Palestinians from their homes in East Jerusalem. Israel's Supreme Court delayed a hearing on the eviction scheduled for Monday due to raging tensions in the region. Now, political analyst Dr. Hadass Cohen is joining us live from Tel Aviv for more on this story. Netanyahu accused Hamas of crossing a red line with rocket attacks. Israel has carried out retaliatory airstrikes in Gaza. What's the latest updates on the number of rockets and casualties?
Well, Israel has been hit overnight in cities such as Ashkelon and retaliated, and there are children that have been hit in Gaza. So we definitely see an escalation. And this is, I mean, if you go to the larger meaning of this is an opportunity for Hamas to show, listen, we are also a part of this, the internal relationships within the Palestinian society, but also vis-a-vis Israel, because the Palestinian Authority decided to withhold elections in the West Bank, or and what is labeled the West Bank, and Hamas, for it's a wonderful opportunity to say, listen, we are also a power to contend with, not to mention that the reason that the rockets were fired into Israel from Gaza is because that Hamas demanded that Israeli police and the army will leave al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, where there were clashes, and on Monday, on Jerusalem Day, that is the Israeli celebration of having Jerusalem, there were about 300 Palestinians wounded. So this is, I guess, an overall up-to-dated overview.
Yeah, that's a good summary. And what's the situation on the ground today at Al-Aqsa Mosque? Have there been fresh clashes?
Well, there are continuous clashes in Al-Aqsa, and I think that and also in Sheikh Jarrah. So Jerusalem is basically on fire, so to speak. But I think the more significant, but we have seen this going on, right? In times of crisis or violent escalation, we see that. I think that what is more telling regarding the escalation is that within Israel, mixed Arab or Palestinian and Jewish cities such as Ramle and Lod has seen an unprecedented violence. There are gangs that with hooded faces, covered faces, that are shooting and are just basically are being out of control there. And there are clashes between the citizens that have been living side by side quietly and in peace for years. And again, we have seen also this has happening in Jaffa and the southern part in Tel Aviv, actually not more than 2 kilometers from where I am sitting right now. So while in Jaffa we have seen this, in Ramle and in Lod, I can't remember the last time that there was violence there and that people were concerned. So we see here right now what is happening is that these clashes are seeping into Israeli society, because these clashes are between Israeli citizens, some Jewish and some Arabs. So I think this is extremely, extremely worrying.
Thank you, Dr. Hadass Cohen, for your insights on this developing story.